Today we are here with Jack, who runs GradUp, which is a site that matches mentors with students, and he's going to be giving you a little bit more info about mentorship. So Jack, over to you.
Great, thank you. So as Claudia just said, this is on mentorship. And I actually wanted to start this off, not by talking about me, but actually my own experience with mentors and how I found them since finishing university is a different way they've came to me and different areas they've helped me in my life. So the first one was actually found on YouTube, funny enough. And it was someone who went into a lot of self-development videos, whether that was on career, creating a vision for my life, different parts of my own mindset. He really helped me kind of realize I can do anything I want in my life if I have a vision and kind of know what steps I need to take. And it really just boosted me on. So I watched him for at least the first few years after finishing uni in 2016 and was incredibly helpful in my life. And of course, free because he was on YouTube and I watched him over a good few videos. The next one was then found through a meditation course. So I started getting into meditation again towards the end of university, practicing mindfulness. And one of my friends was like, oh, there's this like meditation course. So I went to this free talk. It sounded really good. So I thought, okay, let's invest into this meditation course, which basically gives you your own personalized sound. It's called Vedic meditation. And it was mind blowing. It just was the most powerful thing I ever did. I remember walking out, it's like, oh my God. So I invested into a lot of course with this particular teacher over the next 2 years. And he went into a lot of metaphysical topics in my own spiritual development, I guess, personal development. I was able to ask him questions. And this was in more of a group setting as well. I then went on to find someone else through one of his retreats, actually. So this was a lady, she was a public speaker on charisma, very successful. We connected really well. And she was like, look, I'll mentor you over the next year. And it was just amazing, some of the experiences I've had with her, because it wasn't just on career at that time. She would do something called like a tapping techniques, like EFT. So I would come more with issues in my own personal life, and she would take you back to memories that was connected to that emotional trauma. You do this tapping, and without going into it too much, you basically release this memory that you're holding on to. And the amount of times I bawled my eyes out with this lady, it's
I've actually seen that happen, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, not something that I ever believed in or thought was real. And then I saw it and I was like, my God.
I highly, highly recommend it. I mean, we all have these kind of traumas that we have as like children. And if you get a good one, she takes you back, and just the emotion you feel that arises is just uncontrollable. And then afterwards you feel light, you feel so good, and just something shifts. So she was absolutely amazing. I then met my next mentor through a company I was working at, one called 7 Career Coaching, probably one of the biggest coaching companies in London. And he was one of the executive coaches, and we connected, and he basically offered to coach/mentor me at a discounted price. I did invest in this mentor. Again, in terms of my career, he massively helped me, personal development, health, gave me lots of resources, etc. And then the last one was found through LinkedIn. So this is when I started GradUp, just the kind of thinking behind it. And I saw this guy on LinkedIn. I was like, oh, he looks cool, young entrepreneur, has his own like startup. We connected, he gave me lots of resources, went to a networking event that he hosts, met his co-founder, we got along, and they both said, do you want us to mentor you with GradUp, which they're currently doing. The amount of just knowledge they've given me, personal advice, has just been absolutely immense. And they're both younger than me. I'm mid-20s, they're early 20s. So actually age doesn't matter at all.
Interesting. That's a really cool point, actually.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like other areas I probably could mentor them slightly, but actually when it comes to startups, like who cares what age they are? They've got a lot more knowledge than I do. So yeah, that was just to kind of explain the different ways mentors can come. You can invest, they can be free, they can be organic through YouTube even. So Yeah. So
YouTube was actually one that, for me, even when you first said that, I was like, that was not something that would ever even cross my mind to message someone from YouTube.
well, I actually, so to clarify that, I actually didn't message him. I counted him as a mentor, even though he didn't give me personal mentoring. He
Mhm.
just had lots of in-depth videos, which I
Okay,
could
I see what you mean. I
watch.
see what you mean.
So it's kind of just to say, like, it doesn't have to be one-on-one. Like, you
Hmm.
can find someone on a topic, for example, on YouTube, and watch them over a longer period of time. And they could probably give you as much help as a
Yeah, definitely.
personal one-to-one. So it's a great, great resource. So just to quickly go like through what you're going to learn in this webinar. So you're going to understand what a mentor is, what benefits a mentor can provide, how you can get a mentor for free, and how to make the most out of the mentorship. So what is a mentor? Claude, did you want to give this a go? Just like,
So weirdly, I was actually having this conversation earlier, and to me, a mentor is someone that you like go and sit in a dark room with, maybe on like a long couch. I'm thinking like kind of like therapist vibes, and they like dispart all this wisdom upon you, and like it's all very philosophical and deep chats. Like that's what I think the automatic image is of a mentor to me.
That's so interesting. It's really, really interesting. I guess, like, and I hope if there's one thing everyone can take away from this webinar is I think they can come in so many different formats. I guess you could have a mentor where you sit in a dark room and have very deep topics with, but then they can come in, very light ways as well on very different areas of your life. So the way I would describe a mentor is actually just someone that gives you advice based on their own experience. So you're at point A, you want to get to point B, they're basically already there, and they will give you advice on how to go about doing that. And it's very strict on the, like, the way I thought of mentorship before was very much, it's just advice. So they won't really ask you that many questions, like a coach would. It'd just be like, this is what you should go and do. So then on the other hand, you have coaching, and coaching, you still want to go from A to B. However, coaching assumes that you have all the answers. So there is strictly no advice in coaching. So I did a coaching diploma and that was absolute no. So they just use questions and active listening to help you to get there. And the thing I would say is that mentorship is great for getting there from an external point of view. So for example, let's talk about career. Like they would be able to give you advice on the CV, the LinkedIn, interview help. They might tell you how to go about doing X, Y, and Z. Like the startup guys, they're very much on the mentor side. However, if I say just for the startup, just for that example, if I went to them and said, I'm feeling unconfident or I'm feeling like an imposter, I don't think like I can do it. And all they said, don't worry, like we've been where you are, like you can do it. It might make me feel a little bit better, but not that much, to be honest. Where coaching, if they were to say, so tell me more, like what's causing these feelings of doubt? And they really dived into that, you're able to get to the root cause and really help empower me to uplift my own confidence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like guidance kind of, and like dig a little bit deeper.
Exactly. So that's exactly it. So it's very good with the kind of your internal blockages. Mentor is very good for external. So what I'm going to say is that actually really you want a combination of both mentoring and coaching, and for someone to know intuitively when to put which hat on, because sometimes you need more mentorship. And if someone kept asking you questions on, for example, what can I do better with my CV? And they said, well, what do you think? And then they go, well, I think maybe do this. And you go, so what else do you think? It's quite long-winded. So they could just go, well, just do this and you'll be flying. So what I advise to everyone is think about what is that point B for you? Is that career? Is that more personal, relationships, whatever? Is it more internal or is it more external or a bit of both? And when you go to have that first chat with the mentor, you can say, look, I actually feel a little bit unconfident about my applications. Like, how would you go about helping me with that? And maybe see what they say and kind of get a gauge of how they would utilize both of these skills.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, an important thing as well is like knowing when someone knows the answer. So like as a mentor, you would know when to ask more questions because you think that your mentee has got it in them, like to know the answer. But also sometimes when they're just so unconfident that they just need that bit of extra advice rather than another question.
Definitely. And again, it totally depends on I go back to it, internal, external problems, like anything internal should be more on the coaching side. And then maybe at the end, you also give them that bit of mentoring and that bit of guidance just to say, well, like say, for example, if it was just unconfidence because they're getting rejected so many times, you can coach into that, but then you just got to say, do you know what, that is normal. Like everyone's getting rejected, and that is part of job searching.
Yeah.
So that's what a mentor is. So what are the benefits of mentorship? So the first one, which is slightly behind me, is securing a job. I think mentorship can be really good for having someone who's been there, who's done it, who's in the industry you want to be in, potentially in, like, probably in the role you want to be in. And they can just give you advice on your CV, on your applications. They can go through interviews. They can give you that motivational support. They can tell you what skills that you need to go and learn. And you can obviously ask them any questions. Can you look over my cover letter? Can we think of any different creative ways of making an application? Because these days, just applying through job boards just isn't enough. It's going to be very, very unlikely that you get anything. So you have to think of different creative ways, which of course a mentor is able to help you with.
Yep.
The next is networking. Of course, a mentor who's already in the industry, already in the role you want to be in, they might know other people that they can introduce you to who might have a job or might be able to help you with X, Y, and Z. And it's a really great way of just expanding the amount of people that you know. And of course, the more people you know, the more opportunities come your way. And every single one of my mentors has given me a networking connection that's been incredibly valuable.
I was going to say, actually, when you introduced all the mentors that were in your life, it seemed like most of them had come from like a natural connection with someone.
Yeah.
Which obviously you can't get, which comes from networking and putting yourself out there a little bit to meet these people.
Exactly. And particularly with just speaking about job searching here, as many graduates are going through this, like you can sit behind almost like your computer and you can do all of this stuff, but actually one of the most impactful things you can do, reach out to as many people as you can, speak to them, get on the phone, practice that communication skills. Your confidence is going to massively increase. Just on this note, actually, just a kind of side path, I met a very,
it's fine.
I met a very successful young entrepreneur in December time, and he was someone I looked at when I was in my recruitment job, and I was like, this guy's amazing. How is he meeting all of these people? Has he creating such a good business? And I had the chance to meet with him, and we sat in this coffee shop, and I was like, how did you do it? How did you become so successful? Like, he's working with people in the government now, and he started off from nothing, just in his bedroom. And he said, do you know what I did? I just networked. I went on, met one person, they introduced me to the next person, who introduced me to the next person, yada, yada, yada. And I just kept telling him about this idea. He didn't even have an idea at the start. It was just like, I want to help young people, which evolved into an idea based on the people we met. So that really inspired me. And I would just advise anyone as a graduate, go do it.
Yeah, me too. And I also think there's a lot to be said for just like having a chat with someone. Like, I think a lot of people think you have to connect with these people and have like really meaningful, specific conversations and bring something out of it at the end. But I think even having a conversation is more important than just trying to take something from it, if that makes sense.
Definitely. I think the best thing you can do is just be curious about that person, ask them questions like you would, I guess, in any kind of conversation, hopefully. And there's always so much to learn. I think that's probably one of the biggest things I learned just over the years with networking more, is that you can just learn so much from different people. So great point. So the next one is like first 90 days. So obviously as a graduate, you go in, you secure your first job. Maybe it's a smaller company that don't have that much time to give you that one-on-one mentorship. So why not go get someone who's already where you want to be, whether that's externally outside of your company, and they can really help you smash them first 90 days, make a really, really good impression, which is going to rapidly increase your chances of getting promoted, having more responsibility. I think that's one of the biggest things a lot of graduates want, is more responsibility, more to do. So prove it to them in the first 90 days, smash it out the park, and then try and get that promotion. Goal setting, accountability, absolutely huge. Like job searching or anything, when you don't have goals, it is difficult, particularly when you're sitting there, you're applying for these jobs, you're hearing nothing back, rejections, you feel demotivated. And just having a mentor there to set goals with, to say next week, I expect you to hit boom, 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 and you go back and you have to kind of show up. Otherwise, you're going to potentially not let someone down, but you might feel like that, which is
and I think that's a really nice way, especially if you're like on your own in the job search, keeping yourself accountable as well, because it's very easy to get lost in the midst of like, oh, I literally can't be bothered to do another job application. But if you've got like even like really reasonable targets, so like apply to 5 jobs a week or something like that, it's better to do that than like get lost by the wayside.
Definitely. And I spoke to one of my clients who I'm finishing up with, because she finally secured a job, and I asked her what was one of the best things about this coaching mentorship, and she said actually just reviewing over what I'd done every week. So I would ask her like, what have you done? And she was like, wow, I've actually done a lot.
I think graduates get bogged down with like they're not actually doing anything. That's definitely how I felt. I was like, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not moving forwards. And now I look back, and that's probably the time period that I improved the most, just like for myself.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree more. It's like these little wins that you have to focus on in order to boost your gratitude and your feel good feelings and your vibration. Otherwise, you get bogged down. I haven't got a job yet, therefore, like I'm just not worthy. I'm not good enough. And you have these bad thoughts, when actually it's all about focusing on the small wins, which slowly build up to the job.
100%. I think if you break that like end goal down of getting a job into lots and lots of smaller little goals, like that really helped me, because every day I'd wake up without a job, I'd be like, oh, I failed again. But if you break that down into smaller goals and you're constantly achieving, and it's like almost like a confidence thing, that builds your confidence more and more.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. So the next one was the promotion, which of course I've already mentioned, but just an interesting point on this. So back in my the 7 Career Coaching, which is a company in London which focused on career coaching, I would speak to loads and loads of professionals who were usually unsatisfied with their career. But one lady who stood out to me was a director at PwC, very, very high. And I remember looking at LinkedIn, I was like, why is she calling for a career coach? Like, what could she possibly want?
Yeah.
And actually, she just wanted someone to help her improve even more. And I was just like, wow, like this lady is already at the top of her game, right? Like to be that high up in PwC is huge. And she said, do you know what? I've had a mentor throughout my whole career, and that is why I've exceeded everyone else. That's why I am where I am, because I've always got help from someone who's that bit better than me, or just knows that bit more. And that is what I would say to everyone. Like when you get the job, don't stop there. Get someone else who can help you within the first 90 days, then help you someone who can continuously improve, to be your best, basically. And last is just upskilling, learning different skills, learning what skills that really you should be focusing on in order to upgrade your career. Because of course, people who are already where you want to be are going to know, okay, you should probably focus on this, or you should focus on that. This is how you can go about doing that. So yeah, and all of these things are focused on career, but remember, you've got so many different areas of your life where you can also seek mentorship or coaching from.
Actually, on upskilling, I read something really interesting recently about deliberate practice. And I think it really resonated with me, because obviously with lockdown and everyone trying to learn new skills, I read that musicians, when they practice, like when you practice something, you do the same thing over and over and over again, right? So you tend to gravitate towards doing the things you're good at. So like if I wanted to learn about MailChimp, for example, something that I use every day, I would kind of become competent enough at it that I knew the basics. But to become really, really excellent at something, you have to engage in deliberate practice, which is where you practice the things that you're really bad at. And that's something that I find really hard to do, because I don't like doing the things that I'm bad at. But to take yourself to the next level, you have to kind of self-analyze yourself and pick out the things that you aren't good at, and then re-practice those things, and that's how you really improve.
Couldn't agree more. It's a really great point. And I think that comes down, probably actually another benefit of mentorship is just awareness, because you have to have awareness of, okay, what is it that I don't enjoy and I'm not that good at? And when you start to feel emotions of resistance, then you've kind of think, oh, resistance is coming up.
Yeah,
Then to
100%.
overcome
And I
that.
think having a mentor as well, like, really keeps you accountable to that, because it's all well and good. Like, well, I find it difficult anyway, personally. Like, it's all well and good being accountable to yourself, but when you have to take that to someone else and they go, okay, what have you done? Like, that just all brings it home, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. So the next slide is on how to find a mentor for free. So by far the greatest tool is LinkedIn, of course. I mean, it's just the best platform ever to connect with people. So my advice is to think about the kind of industry that you want to go into, potentially some of your dream companies, a company you'd absolutely love to work at. Of course, the kind of role that you would like to be at if you understand where it is you want to go. Put that search criteria into LinkedIn. Start connecting with, you can connect with quite a few people at the same time. It's not like Facebook where it's just weird if you connect and then message someone random. I never accept anyone random on Facebook, but LinkedIn is totally for that. Like, that is the whole purpose of it, is to expand your network. So you'll stop waiting for them to accept. And then you can reach out with the following message. And this is kind of rough. I would very much adapt and tailor this to your own way of communicating. So it's something like this. So I hope you're well. I found you when looking for someone who is in X industry, and your experience doing X is inspiring to me. The point of that is that you are starting off by complimenting them, specifically saying why you reached out to them. So it's not just, I'm looking for help for anyone. I'm actually looking for help from you, which is automatically going to be like, oh, okay, they actually know about me. So you can go onto their LinkedIn profile. See
like, it's not just like a random message that you flung out.
Yeah, exactly. So you look at their, go on their recent activity, see if they've made any articles or they've commented or posted on anything or whatever. Do a little bit of stalking just to figure out, okay, what can I connect to them with?
Love a good LinkedIn stalk.
Yeah, exactly. So then I'll just say something like this. So I totally appreciate you're very busy and your time is valuable, but I was hoping to ask more about your journey, how you found graduating, and just to ask a few questions. So again, you're making it all about them. You haven't gone in, I'm asking you so you can help me. It's actually more like, I just want to find out more about you and how you went about doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
And you might think, so what is in it for them? And there's two things that's in it for anyone who's going to respond back to this. One, people love to help people, believe it or not. A lot of people genuinely want to give back, particularly younger ones in like the millennial generation. And secondly, people love talking about themselves. Like, if you're going and asking them loads of questions, people genuinely enjoy it and feel like, oh, this is nice. Like,
yeah, you just feel a bit valued, don't you?
Exactly. And they weren't most likely too far behind. Like, they're too far in front of you, so they do remember what it's like. And I can say that from reaching out to lots of mentors who are now on the GradUp platform, is that people genuinely really want to give back. So, so next thing is to say, like, anytime you have would be really appreciated. If not, that's totally fine, and have a great week. Another just quick point to mention before going on to the next steps is you can totally voice note this as well. And I tested this.
Yeah, I've actually received my first ever LinkedIn voice note yesterday, and I loved it.
Love it. Yeah, it's great. So I know it's a little bit out of some people's comfort zones, but it's just so much more personable. Like, it just takes a simple tap. You could say this in again, like a minute very easily, and they connect to that much more because you're an actual person. I guess there's like these barriers. Like, one is the text message, then it is a voice message, and potentially video is even more personable because you actually see the person and see them speak and their demeanor. So what's going to happen is that some aren't going to respond to you. Like, some of this is going to take like coaching in the sense of what's the confidence issues around reaching out to people. But to just say it out loud is like, but it doesn't matter if people don't respond. That's going to happen. What matters is who does respond and who does give you that time, and how worth it that will be when they do get back to you. So when some do, get on a call and have some questions written down. If you're not that confident with networking and having conversations, just have loads of questions you'd love to ask them. Make sure one of them is, so what kind of problems is your team or company having right now? Like, what are you working on? So just try and figure out what kind of things they're working on. So you'd have this chat, depending on how it went. I don't know if I'd ask for them to be a mentor just straight out after the first call, depending on how well you connect.
I think it kind of depends on how, like, if you obviously you really genuinely click with someone straight away and they seem up for it, just kind of gauge the conversation, I think.
That's exactly it. Like, use intuition based on what they say. If it's kind of just like comes to an end, what you can do is do like a mini project for them based on what their company is working on, whether that's like a little bit of market material or dev stuff or design stuff, or even I guess like accountancy. It could be anything. Just try and think a bit creatively. Send it to them and say, oh, based on our conversation, I actually did this just to kind of work on one of the problems you're having. Would you be able to like give me some feedback on it, which I'm sure they'd be more than happy to do. And then afterwards, it's a great way of trying to reach back out to them and connect and say, look, I really love the conversation. I don't suppose you'd like to work with me over the next few weeks and help you get a job. Like, you just got to come out and say it. But I think the fact that you did some work for them beforehand, is a great way of showing your commitment. So the pros is it's free and you can build a relationship organically. Like, of course, these are two great benefits of doing it this way. The cons is that it is time consuming. Of course, like, you do have to potentially go through a lot of people before you get the number of responses and then actually connect to that person where they are going to be a mentor compared to just someone you connected with, which is still amazing. And it's somewhat hard to have expectations on how much they can help. They might be very, very busy and they just help out every so often compared to someone else who might help, like give you an hour of their time every week. It depends, but it's hard to have that expectation, basically. So then how to find a mentor paid. So obviously I'm going to quickly talk about the GradUp platform. So we have mentors who've signed up with the intent of becoming a mentor and helping you find your first job. So it's very easy to go on the platform, to add in search criteria, have a chemistry call with them, have a chat, ask them lots of questions, make sure they're right for you. And then you can go straight into mentoring, where they'll give you 1 hour every week to help you with your job search. So the pros, obviously, is that it's quick, it's easy. They are there to mentor you as well. So they have more accountability. Like, they can't really say, oh, sorry, this week I can't do anything if you paid for it.
Yeah, they literally signed up for it, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. So there's already that intent there. Also, you have skin in the game. Like, one thing, accountability is obviously if you've said to someone you're going to do it and you do it, but also if you put a bit of money into it and you've invested into it, you're even more likely to do what you're going to say.
Yeah, it's like paying for an expensive gym membership, isn't it?
Exactly. That's exactly how I think about it. I'm like, I can't not go to the gym because I pay for this every day. And you can ask for more. So you can ask more questions. You can send them applications, CVs during the week, and obviously get some answers, some feedback. The cons is that it's paid and it's less organic. And just a quick question on the paid thing. Look, I do understand, like, graduates just by the fact that we're right at the bottom of the food chain don't have that much money. Although, to look at it from a different perspective is that every week that you're out of a job does cost you money. It's roughly about 350 quid. So it would take 35 sessions with a mentor, say if it was a tenner every time, to then break even if you got a job a week earlier. And I can guarantee it won't take 35 sessions to do that. So, it's a good way of just thinking about it. It's like, okay, we know that we have to stand out more these days. And this is just a great way of doing that. And how to utilize a mentor, just very quickly, is obviously come prepared, turn up with specific questions, specific goals that you want to work on, and do what is discussed. Like, you're not going to receive anything if you don't do the work and you don't put in the effort.
And I think people as well need to take on board that being a mentee is like a responsibility in itself, because you're asking for someone else's time, which is so valuable to, especially if it's someone who's busy and they've taken the time out to help you. If you're going to have these really important self-searching conversations, you need to then take away that actions from that and go and do it. Very, very well said. Yeah, it's so true. If they're giving you your time, make sure you respect it, because it's super valuable. So yeah, that's it. That is the webinar on mentoring. No, that was really, really useful. I think a lot of people, like myself included, I've kind of thought about the idea of getting a mentor before, but it's not something that I've taken the leap into doing just yet, but I think I will now.
I think you should. And again, there's always just someone with a bit more experience, particularly when you really connect with them. It's actually a lot of fun, I think, on both ends. At least, my perspective, working with like 30 plus clients at the moment, the ones that I really connect with, it's just so much fun. So actually, it's you have a great time, and you actually become friends as well. Like the two startup guys, I would say, genuinely are very close friends now, just from them mentoring me. So
yeah, definitely. I think
cooperative.
as well, it's nice to have someone with such, like, hopefully you pick a mentor that has really similar interests to you, but just from a slightly different perspective, which I think is always really important if you are trying to grow in your career.
Yeah, definitely.
Just that push you that little bit further, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Well, it's been lovely chatting. I know that I've definitely learned a lot. We'll drop your contact details so people can get in touch on LinkedIn. And yeah, we'll speak soon.
Great. Speak soon.